I did read the essay you have on why you started Black Sports Online and why it's called Black Sports Online. So why don't you tell our listeners about what was the impetus behind creating the website and, of course, the name?
So we have to go back in time. And I know that's kind of hard for a lot of people because it doesn't apply today in 2024
Sure.
as much. But back in 2005, so we're almost 20 years into this, when I was I was 23, 24 years old. The internet in and of itself was just still more in its infancy. When I was in college, getting a Yahoo email was a big deal. At that point, you saw sports media specifically and entertainment media starting to embrace a little bit of the online access. You had ESPN.com, you had Deadspin, you had things like that was out there. And for someone like me that couldn't break into the radio, the newspaper, the television, I felt because I had this experience working on websites and things like that maybe the sports, that would be my way, in, or like I said, to at least keep my name out there. But as I did my research, I noticed that when you looked across the landscape at that time, all of the websites were, first off, they were anonymous. You never knew who was actually the sports website. You never knew who was running them. Secondly, they were all kind of this cookie cutter, very white way of telling, sports, very by the numbers, very, very
It's
bland
like
and everything.
Illustrated, Sporting
there
News,
was no
kind of
sizzle.
like
There was no sizzle. And I was watching TV. I was watching a wild card game, the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. And Randy Moss fake mooned the Green Bay Packers crowd, and Joe Buck lost his mind. And I knew Joe Buck because he's from St. Louis, but he just lost his mind. And he called him everything under the sun except the N-word. Now I, at 23, 24 years old, knew the reason that Randy Moss had did that was because the Packers fans often fake moon or moon the bus of the opposing team. So it's just a little get back and a little, back and forth. Definitely the anger and Buck will tell you even today that he regrets this. And the way it came
he
across.
overreacted a little bit.
Speaking of a black man like this. And at that point, I'm like, we need something to offset this type of, media. Somebody that, and don't forget, at this time, I'm the same age as the athletes, more or less. So, and I'm from the same type of places. So I felt like I understood the more than a 40-year-old white guy in the booth or a 50-year-old white guy on the news. And I didn't see that. And so I was like, I'm going to create something that if Joe Buck does that again, I'm going to have an outlet that I can tell Joe Buck, no, this is not how you talk to people, or this is not that. So it basically initially was like a policing website. Almost like an awful announcing type of website.
Sure.
To where, I would do these editorials about things that I would see in the media that I didn't like and would speak on them, how they spoke about Allen Iverson or things that was happening with Kobe or Shaq, or if I felt like something was not being told, given a different perspective. And that's where the whole Black Sports Online comes from, is sports from a different perspective. That's where I would come in at. And that was the precipice of the original aspect, of the site. It was the editorial site that was kind of a watchdog over media and gave you insight on Black athletes that maybe you wouldn't have gotten, because if you live in rural Ohio, how would you understand anything that was going on with Allen Iverson? How would you understand anything that's going on with Randy Moss, Terrell Owens? Because I went to Ohio State and I did have the education, I knew how media worked behind the scenes. So I kind of had an advantage. So I said, no, the producer knows that if you call Randy Moss a thug, what's going to happen? And, you're going to get more ratings and all of this stuff. So I would basically be like someone that, would out this type of stuff. Now, obviously, it's evolved, since then. But that was the origin of what I was trying to do initially, with the site.